think not being part of the so-called centers of music is a good thing, though. You know, you have to turn it around, be positive about it. You have a different perspective. You don't necessarily have to say, yeah, I'm from London. You have to and be judged by that. The game, the whole rules of the game are out the window. You know, you create your own rules.
The audience reaction's always been, you know, pretty wild. It's just we played small venues to start with, and now, and it seems every show, as long as I can remember, that we've ever done, just the whole audience is standing and dancing from the first note.
It's always been great.
It's always been like that.
Kansas especially.
They kind of groove more now, though, I think, than it's not so much of the frenetic sort of over-the-top phase.
That's true.
Everyone sort of like gets into a groove. It's just really fun to play to.
I think every band, if you have some, obviously, radio success with singles and things, every band goes through this phase where, you know, you have a lot of hysteria and just stuffed animals are thrown on the stage. And
yeah.
It's hard to relate to. But
thank God we passed that phase.
Yeah, we're definitely past that phase. Now, you know, then you get the brass stage and then you get boost thrown on.
And they've always the larger cup sizes now, too.
Well, from the standpoint of a band who, in the beginning, you get together and you envision incredible success one day. When you receive that success, what kind of increased demands and responsibilities are put on that? For instance, in the context of this press conference, hundreds of thousands of others you've had to do in a radio station.
Yeah.
How does that change your life or your responsibility to the music or the band?
I don't know. I think we treat it all pretty much naturally. We're not very prone to preconceive that much. Well, you know, we give it to you pretty straight, you know. So it doesn't change that much. I mean, as long as the only pressure is on you to remain natural as possible, I think.
Yeah. I mean,
it's as honest as possible.
The more successful you get, is it harder to remain natural to keep what you had in the beginning?
No, I think it becomes easier. You know, half the reason I think the band's able to stay together for as long as we have is we've always been really honest with each other. And I think, you know...
And with our public.
And with our public, you know, and that's sort of the whole, really the basis of the way we work, you know. We don't pretend to be anything we're not with each other or to our fans, and, you know, we're honest with the music we play. We don't play what we think we should be playing. And, you know, that goes right down the line, so I think that there's nothing to be worried about unless you've got something to hide, or, you know what I mean? So the pressure just isn't really there in many ways, because...
Yeah. It's not like a game we have to figure out, you know. That would be horrible pressure, because we have to spend hours and hours and hours figuring out the game plan for the press, for the...
Make sure we all have the
spin, you know.
The Kick album had a very intense, immediate appeal, and perhaps in the long run, some of the songs will prove to be more superficial in terms of INXS's ultimate songbook. The new album seems to need a few more listens to really get into it, but there seems to be a bit more depth there, I think.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
Was there some risk involved in doing that, do you feel? And was the risk worth it, even if it meant perhaps lower sales or concert attendance, whatever?
It's not a question of consciously risking something. You don't choose it. It's just the music that you...
But I must admit, I always find a risk really challenging, and always have since the band very first started off together. I mean, the first thing we ever decided to do as a band was to quit our jobs and our girlfriends and all move to Perth with, you know, and...
Black-hearted souls.
And live purely on playing music was the big jump, you know. And in taking that risk, I think, had, in some ways, you know, maybe some kind of psychological influence on the
that's
band
true.
ever since its creation, because it was a real commitment we made to each other to help each other pay rent, eat food, that kind of thing. We all lived in one house together, rehearsed in one room. You know, the guy next door died of a heart attack. So,
I don't think we really
needed to bring that up.
No. I don't think, we've always had a sort of pop sensibility anyway. We like pop music. Personally, I think pop music is better than most rock music today, you know. It's more valid and has more to say, a lot of it. It's not
Usually more
bogus rock
creative.
music, you know. Sadly, most good rock music is not pop. It doesn't make it on the charts anymore. It's not played.
We're actually using real buzz.
It's called underground music
music.
now. You know, what was once number one is now called underground. I don't know how that happened, but it has. You know, it's very, very little music. It's rock music. It's, I think, worth listening to. That's on the charts. You know, personally. So I mean that, you know, for us, it's like we had a lot of success with Kick, and it's a much more, its sensibility, its pop sensibility is much easier to get into. It's a hopefully, yeah, some good melodies and good, you know. But with this album, I guess we changed a little bit. We want to, I don't know what, I mean, we just ended up.
We changed our approach a bit. I think also, having quite a lot of time apart, it all allowed ourselves to kind of grow up as individuals a bit. And then when we came back together, it was a sort of a new attitude, I guess. It was almost like the band starting again.
Yeah.
In some ways. You know?
So then we started again. I mean, with the influence on this album is supposedly, I suppose a little less funky, a little bit more soul, and you know, it's like Curtis Mayfield and stuff like that. It's
More
much more classic.
harmonica, more
Yeah,
bluesy
it's
feel.
like a mixture of the R&B and then
A lot more
classic
harmonica.
soul and stuff. You know, Charlie's actually going to be with us in Chicago. We're recording a live album at the moment. So.